Hello guys and welcome to Motorcast. Today we are going through the recent WRC round in Argentina, and joining me today is our usual suspect, Josh and Kev. So, a bit of a different rally I'd say this time round. Certainly one individual shining above the rest, and that would arguably be Elfyn Evans, which, fair enough, he didn't win the rally, but Josh, he got agonisingly close though, didn't he?
Yeah, fantastic drive from Elfyn Evans. I mean, this season has been an interesting one for him because he's had a lot of pace, he's won quite a few stages, but he's really had not one trouble-free rally, and finally he kind of did have that, and this is what he's produced. So yeah, real evidence there that Evans can really get it done. Obviously on that DMAC rubber as well, which really I think helped him on Friday, built a massive lead. I think it was about 55 seconds at the end of Friday. So yeah, ultimately a fantastic drive from Evans, and really that clip on the bridge on the power stage was the only thing that kind of prevented him from winning this rally. Just the margins were really fine, but I don't think you can really take anything away from him because he deserved to win this rally. He didn't in the end, but I don't think it's going to matter too much because now he's really tossed his hat into the ring for this year and said, I can win rallies, and yeah, overall just a really good performance.
Yeah, as you said, incredibly fine margins, only 0.7 seconds separating him and Thierry Neuville. And Neuville, of course, winning the rally overall on the last stage. Now, a little bit into what you said before there about the DMAC rubber. It seems that on the very kind of soft, sandy surface that the softer compound of it seems to really come into its own. So, Kev, do you think in future rallies, that especially gravel rallies, do you think Evans has got an advantage over the rest of the field?
I think so, based on this rally, you saw how the DMAC performed against just normal Michelins on Friday, and it was insane seeing Evans just being at the top after stage after stage after stage, seemingly being invincible. And we saw this last year from DMAC with Tanak at times. Their rubber seems to be really good on gravel at times. So, yeah, going forward, with most of the calendar being gravel events, only Germany and then half of Spain is tarmac. Yeah, you could see Evans, having perhaps a pretty good season for the rest of the year.
Hopefully so, because I think it's not only a good advert for DMAC, but also kind of spices up the field a little bit, and it may lead into maybe next year, more teams deciding to run that DMAC rubber. We'll get on to Thierry and the Hyundais in a second, but of course we've got Evans' teammates Ott Tanak and Sebastian Ogier. A little bit of a quiet rally, would you say, from Ogier and Tanak, Josh?
Yeah, an interesting one I think for both of them. I mean, obviously, I think we mentioned earlier, pretty much everyone had problems in this rally, and both of Tanak and Ogier did. But neither of them really had the pace, I think, to win the rally. Tanak at one stage possibly looked like he could. Ogier, a bit of an off weekend for him, but at the end of the day, he still come home in 4th place, and an off day for Ogier is, of course, still a very good day. But yeah, he's obviously still getting to grips with that that Fiesta, and it's a bit weird to say that Ogier was beaten by both of his teammates. That's quite an unusual sight, but yeah, pretty quiet rally for both Tanak and Ogier, but still 3-4. That is pretty good.
Well, it was a good weekend for M Sport in general, getting 2 through to 4th positions. But of course, perhaps overshadowed a little bit by Thierry Neuville, and wow, he kept it. He really did nick it at the post, didn't he, Kev?
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking for Evans, where he was actually up halfway through that stage, and it was just getting the back end slightly out on that bridge section, just lost his momentum, and he was playing catch up for the rest of the stage. But yeah, what drive from Neuville after having some difficulties at the beginning of the second day, and then just coming back and just when he had a little sniff of it in the late half of the second day, he just went for it. And yeah, I know Evans had troubles, especially on the final day. Every stage, he had brake issues, he had engine overheating, of course, in the final stage with that cliff the bridge. But it takes nothing away from Neuville because, a couple of years ago, he probably would have crashed the car instead of actually winning this. But, this year, and we already saw it as well in Monaco and Sweden where he crashed it. But yeah, perhaps, this year, going forward, he's perhaps, changing a bit and coming a bit more like a championship contender like we expect him to be.
Absolutely, and I think this win does actually bring him straight back into the championship fight after what was a bit of a poor start of the season. But like you said, with Evans and the final day, I was just watching that and just hearing the Jaws music all the time, just as he was hounding them in, just stage by stage. Onto his teammates, Hayden Paddon, Danny Sordo. Paddon having a little bit of a difficult rally, obviously suffering, I think it was, what was it, a puncture?
A roll on Friday as well. So
yes, of course,
he did pretty well to come back from that, to be fair. Sordo as well, had issues on that Friday. He had a puncture right in the final stage as well. It's a bit. It was tough for both Paddon and Sordo, especially. It's been tough for them, I think, this year, especially Hayden Paddon, of course. We all know what happened in Monty. And then after that, he just hasn't been able to recover at all, really. Sordo doing a consistent job once again. To come home in 8th was a decent job, I think. Basically, just a good recovery drive, I think, is all we can really say about Paddon and Sordo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were a little bit down, I think it's fair to say, on the rest of the guys. I mean, Sordo finishing almost 15 minutes down on his teammate, but it wasn't exactly a straightforward rally, and for them to get solid points at the end of it, I think they can be reasonably happy with that. On to the next team, Toyota. Latvala kind of do you think the Toyota isn't exactly set at home on gravel, would you say, Kev?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Well, on the first day, it seems like it. A bit like Mexico with Hannon, you saw that feel right up on the first day, but then he had a couple of issues, and the pace just wasn't there for the rest of the rally. So maybe just durability on these gravel stages they need to work on. But yeah, it's still encouraging for Toyota. They were a bit better than they were in Mexico, and so as I said, with gravel being mostly the rest of this season, I can see them improving going forward, especially round rallies like Finland. That feel is pretty good round. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing for Toyota that their pace dropped off, but as I said, in season, it can perhaps improve going forward.
Yeah. And, of course, who can forget you, Hannanen, continuing his streak of crashing into objects or finishing rallies. Talking about crashing into objects, that brings us sweetly on to Citroën, who, of course, had Craig Breen and Chris Meek competing in the rally. Was Lefebvre? I don't think he was.
No, he was not there. No.
So down to only 2 cars for this rally, and both seemingly getting the wrong end of one corner and one rock, and some vastly different resultant accidents. But I mean, both cars getting caught out there, does that perhaps show that there's something that the car isn't quite as tough as it should be, Josh?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a problem with the Citroën. I think that first crash from Meek was obviously, very unlucky, probably down to the car more than anything. And obviously the driver does take a smidge of responsibility as well, of course, with any accident. But yeah, I think that one's probably on the car's fault. But the second crash Meek had, that was driver error. And it's the old kind of Chris Meek. I mean, we talked about pre-season, could Chris Meek win this championship? And I think now we've got to the point where I think it's pretty much lost, to be honest. It's more about kind of winning or binning, which I guess it's always been with Meek. It's either winning the rally or having this, these crashes. The first one then I think unlucky, but yeah, the second one I think unfortunately was his fault. Breen as well was unlucky with that crash, because we know Craig Breen is probably one of the, which is weird to say because he's one of the most inexperienced drivers in a World Rally car, but he's probably one of the most consistent at getting it home, and he's still ahead of Chris Meek in the championship. So although it was a terrible rally for Citroën, I guess if there's one positive they can take, it was that Meek was looking pretty good, at least on Friday morning before that crash.
Yeah, it's good. It's important that you say that, because I think the Citroën, at least on paper, I think is probably the quickest car, but they just don't have the car just hasn't got any kind of resilience to it at all. So do you agree with Josh that Kev, that Meek's championship chance is potentially gone here now?
Yeah, looking at the table, he's 75 points back after 5 rallies. That's I don't think anyone's come back with that against OJ and Loeb. So yeah, I think he's out of it. You can perhaps just have fun for the rest of the season, because maybe get a top 5 in the championship. His aim. He's even behind Paddon, who, as we said, he's had issues every rally. So yeah, for Meek, it's terribly disappointing that only Mexico's really got a result this season. And yeah, even Breen at times has, been more consistent and is above him in the table. So, yeah, for Meek, it's, another season wasted, perhaps.
I think it's also perhaps a frustrating season for Meek as well, because he surely knows that he's got the car beneath him or at least the pace beneath him to be winning the championship. So I personally don't think it's over yet. The car has clearly got the pace to win rallies, but he's going to pretty much have to win every single remaining rally to even have a hope of winning the championship. So definitely not over though, for all the Meek fans out there. And I'm certain he'll win rallies coming this, during the rest of the season. But on top of that, I'm sure he'll also have another massive crash at a rally in the rest of the season. Now on to our privateer, and of course Matt Zotzberg showing an impressive rally before having some tough luck. Josh, do you think it's promising from Zotzberg, and this is a man who has driven for M Sport and Citroën in the past? So what did you make of his rally?
Yeah, bits falling off Zotzberg's car once again. Seems to be quite a running theme of this season. Obviously, we saw it in Sweden. A bit less kind of important bit fell off this time, but even so, it really did affect him. He was kind of running in the podium early on. I don't think he would have finished there, but I think a top 5 was going begging, really. But unfortunately, car issues got in the way, and he had to finish 9th in the end. Which was unfortunate, but at least he's come away with some points now to show for it. So, I think very unfortunate for Zotzberg, but he showed good pace, which I think is the most important thing. He's had a bit of fun as well, because when you're a privateer, I guess that is what you want really out of all that, especially such a small team. Manufacturers have the luxury of having multiple spare parts, easy quick repairs, a full team to work on your car. But Zotzberg, it's a very, very small operation. Even though OneBet, who kind of run the team, are the main kind of sponsors of WRC, and every time you open that app, their family-friendly app, you get a betting advertisement from OneBet. But that's something for another day anyway.
OneBet, please sponsor us.
What do you think, Kev, of Matt Zotzberg?
Yeah, I thought he's superb on that, for up to stage 14 when it all fell apart for him. But yeah, his pace kind of declined slightly on the second day. By that first day, just building up, battling up to second, and yeah, despite missing most of the rallies this year, he just looked sharp as well. So yeah, I'm quite hopeful for the rest of the season for Zotzberg. But he's always been that kind of really solid driver that you don't really notice, but he racks up the results. So yeah, I could definitely see him do that for the rest of the year.
And just one more little mention into the other privateer, and we've got Bertelli, who was actually running solidly in the points before an unfortunate incident. It was one of the last stages, actually. So it's good to see these smaller teams in and around the championship, running the top spec cars. And I think, Kev, do you think this potentially shows, for the rest of the season that the WRC is kind of open for smaller teams to come in and run these faster cars?
Oh, definitely. It's just a problem at the moment of just being in the first year of the cars, just having availability and spare parts as well. If you've got Chris Meek crashing out every rally, then there's a bit of a shortage sort of supply there. But yeah, you're seeing with M Sport having fantastic support for privateers, and I hope that spreads to the other manufacturers. And with Hyundai possibly signing another driver, maybe they could set him up with a private team, and I could definitely see that in the future coming. But it'd be in the next couple of years. It won't be like this year. It'd be 28 and 2019, perhaps see teams emerging.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the spare parts, because going back to Zotzberg, had a little bit of an incident, as you said, Josh, before losing. I think it was a diffuser, and having to. I saw M Sport tweeting, or was it Zotzberg tweeting? If anyone had found it, could they return it to the service area? So obviously a little bit spare. Parts are a little bit scarce, but like you said, M Sport have kind of got the Fiestas running like clockwork these days. So I think if I was running a team, that's the car I'd certainly be going for. Now just for a little bit of a look into WRC2, winner there was Pontus Tiedemann, and no Mikkelsen there as well. So what do you think? Do you think Tiedemann's starting to get a championship challenge going now, Josh?
Yes, this is exactly what I want to see from Pontus Steedman. He's kind of been in the kind of WRC2 kind of category for a while now, kind of been around those junior ranks for a bit, kind of struggling really for kind of consistency, but now he's gone out and just won the first 3 events. That is pretty incredible, to be honest. He should hopefully go on and win the title. Mikkelsen's back in though for Portugal, so he's got his biggest task there, because of course all the 3 rallies he's won so far have been when Mikkelsen hasn't been there, but Portugal is going to be the big showdown at Tiedemann versus Mikkelsen. This is great from the organisers, because basically what they've done this year is made 3 events mandatory, for where all the crews who want to win the championship have to attend 3 events that are predetermined by the kind of FIA, and the Portugal is the first of those, so that should be a really, really good event for the WRC2, because I think this time we had about 6 entries, which wasn't great, but it's Argentina, so it's quite a drag for some of the teams.
It's a bit of a trek,
yeah, exactly. It's tough for a lot of guys to get out there, so well done to local boy Juan Carlos Alonso, getting second, and Beni, of course, usually just doing Mexico, but this year he's got a full programme, which is good to see. He completed the podium despite having several issues, but obviously, and finishing miles back, but in the end, I guess it didn't matter, because he finished 3rd in the category. But yeah, basically, really looking forward to Portugal. Should be a real test for Tiedemann, but so far, he's done an absolutely stellar job.
Actually, talking about Portugal and the obviously the amount of categories that are racing there, it's an absolutely stacked starting list there. And I guess one of the big pieces of news is that Toyota are bringing a 3rd car with Lappi in. So, Kev, what do you think Lappi can do in that 3rd Toyota? What do you think he's out to prove?
He could do anything in that Toyota, but I think he's perhaps got to beat Häkkinen. That's going to be his main aim, to at least perhaps match the Finn, most stages, and then maybe even beat him overall. But mainly just, get the miles under the clock as well as his other thing. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what Lappi can do, because he's been this rising talent for the last couple of years in the European Rally Championship and in WRC2 last year. And, he's in the next line of, fantastic Finnish rally drivers. So yeah, I think for Lappi, be there with Häkkinen, get the miles under the clock, and then hopefully the pace will be there as well, as he's shown in the past few years in the junior categories.
And the same question for you, Josh, too.
Yeah, interesting one there, I think. I think we've all said before, we'd love to see Lappi in a proper kind of programme, and I think that's what hopefully he'll have now. I'm hoping he's going to be in from Portugal onwards to the end of the season, hopefully in every round. And like Kev said, he's just got to beat Juho Häkkinen, which I think is definitely achievable, because Lappi's a great talent. Hopefully he can keep it on the road, get to the end of rallies, maybe kind of do a bit of a Craig Breen, in fact, but he doesn't really need to match Latvala on pace, but if he gets to the end of the rally, then he could have quite a few surprise results, and that totally seems to be pretty good. In terms of drivability, Latvala's got it to the end of every rally so far. The only problem, of course, is the kind of all the engine issues they're having and the overheating issues, which is really hampering them in pretty much every event. Toyota, this will hopefully help them having a 3rd car to kind of run, get more data back. But yeah, it should be an interesting one as well. 3 cars as well, hopefully, for Citroën from Portugal onwards as well. So this is going to be really good now, kind of the run-in to the end of the season, because of course Toyota's 3rd and Citroën's 4th in the Manufacturers' Championship, so it's both of them really kind of playing catch-up, particularly Citroën, because Toyota, I think, coming into this year, we all expected them to finish 4th. That's going to be fine. They've already won a rally as well, so I think the pressure's not really on them, it's on the French team for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course,
totally agree with you there.
To rectify this, all they need to do is sign Andreas Mikkelsen, and all their problems will be solved before Hyundai get him. But and that's. I think that was one of the most interesting stories I saw anyway before the rally about Mikkelsen. Is he going to, be the 4th Hyundai, or is he going to kind of join a different team possibly? Of course, Toyota have got Häkkinen in one of their cars, so maybe they could do a little swap out for Mikkelsen. But we'll have to see. Kev, do you see Mikkelsen kind of slotting in anywhere before the end of the season?
He could slot in anywhere. He could be maybe even Citroën would fancy him just in that 4th seat, help Breen and the 3rd come along. But yeah, definitely is between Toyota and Hyundai, it looks like, at the moment. And there was actually an article that I saw on motorsport.com before, Argentina, that if Hyundai signed Mikkelsen, the other teams are kind of worried, are they going to dominate like Volkswagen did the previous few years? So, yeah, like, I would actually like to see him at, Toyota, personally, alongside Latvia, and, lead the charge there. But, yeah, if he joins Hyundai, then, yeah, it could be, game over for the rest for, the next couple of years with Neuville there as well. But
I think as long as they don't have Ogier, though, I think as long as someone else has Ogier, I think
yes.
in my opinion, it's impossible to dominate without Ogier. But I mean, to be fair, Neuville has looked. I mean, if he'd have won Monaco and Sweden, he'd have been dominating this championship and leading by quite a margin.
That's an excellent point. In fairness. Neuville has clearly got the pace, and I think that can lead us nicely into our predictions here. And Josh, I'm going to ask you the obvious question: What's your Rally Portugal podium going to look like?
Well, I'll tell you last year's Rally Portugal podium. Well, that's all for time. Chris Meek won the rally ahead of Mikkelsen and Ogier. Sordo and Eric Camille actually was in fifth. That was probably, I think, his best result of the season. Anyway, back to 2017. For me, that's an interesting one. Chris Meek won it last year, so I think I'm going to go with Chris Meek again, to be honest, to win, because Ogier will be kind of the road sweeper at the start. We've got Neuville up there as well. I think Meek is kind of a bit offset down in ninth on the road. That should really help him, I think, on Friday. And then I think, hopefully, he can keep it together on Saturday and Sunday. I think he'll probably win from Neuville and Ogier, I'm going to say.
Okay. I think that's a fair enough podium. Kev, same question to you. Who's on your podium?
I would like to go for Meek, but I just get the feeling he'll probably crash out on the final day when leading by 50 seconds. But unless he does that, I think it's a bit hard to look past Meek, because, as you said, that Citroen looks pretty handy, and of course he won here last year. He's definitely got the pace, so if he keeps it together, then I can definitely see him winning that. But behind that, Ogier to the return to the podium after that very disappointing fourth, and then Neuville to be second. So Meek, Neuville, Ogier.
Okay, well, I think I can't trust that Meek would win the rally personally, but you can't. The logic says that Meek on paper should be winning the rally, so I think I'm gonna go with Meek winning, like yous three. We're all incredibly original here, but I'm also gonna put Neuville second, but I'm gonna put Evans third, because the guy's got confidence at the moment. I'd like to see where he's going to take that, and if he can score himself another podium, who knows what the rest of the season could look like for him. And of course, I think Portugal might. I think it could suit the D-Max potentially a little bit more with it being a gravel rally, but. I think Evans has got the confidence in him at the moment. He will be a little bit sad that he didn't win, but I think he can look back on this rally with a good bit of knowledge learned, and he will. I think he can win a rally. Looking on into the season, I think he can definitely win a rally. But the other question I want to ask is involving WRC 2, and it's the final question I'm going to ask you, Josh and Kev. Tiedemann or Mikkelsen for Portugal?
It's like choosing between my children, but I'm gonna have to go with Mikkelsen, to be honest. I don't really care. I just hope I hope Tiedemann can keep up with him. That would be great to see. I think it'll be a fantastic story if he could push him all the way. Yeah,
I've got to go with the experience of Mikkelsen as well. Like, even though Tiedemann's off a high of winning every round he's competed in so far this season, I think Mikkelsen just has the edge over him. I
think I have to agree with you both there. I think if Tiedemann can beat Mikkelsen, though, I think it kind of changes the game a bit, because he'll finally have the confidence that he can beat Mikkelsen in a kind of head-to-head situation. So I think it's definitely a good battle to be looking out for. But that's the end of our review here. I'd like to thank Josh and Kev for joining us today. And of course, if you want to listen to more reviews, you can of course subscribe to Motorcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Motorcast_. All of our links will be in the description. And we'll see you for the next rally in Portugal. Goodbye.